Hey everyone, on September 17th, 2022, we put together an amazing event, the Green Summit, where we brought together leaders in business, tech, and finance to share their vision for a sustainable future. We have a special episode right now because this is one of those presentations from the Green Summit. If you're interested in attending another Green Summit, go to green-summit.org. Welcome to the Green Podcast. My name is Dylan Welch. I'm the CEO of green.org and Dylan Welch Media. Our goal with this podcast is to bring you the biggest names and leaders in renewable energy, clean technology, and sustainability so that you can stay up to date with the latest trends and everything that is happening in this world. Not only that, you'll get some action items for your life so that you can apply some amazing things and make your world a better place as well. Let's get the show started.
Very good, ladies and gentlemen. Now, first of all, I'm going to say something I'm going to want everybody to remember. And never, ever, as long as you live, forget. And that is black carbon is the enemy of the planet. Now, I'm going to explain this in a little bit more detail, but you must remember that. And because right now, until we understand who the enemy is, we will never, ever defeat climate change, okay? So this beautiful planet has everything. Now, personally, I'm not interested in moving to Mars, because they don't have caterpillars, they don't have butterflies. This is the planet. We got to stay at this one. But is it going to be around for the next generation? Again, remember this. Black carbon is the enemy of the planet. Now, most of you all may not have heard of black carbon. I hadn't heard of black carbon. But it just so happened I was working on a few things over the last few years and found out that we reduce particulate matter certain ways, and we found out that particulate matter contained black carbon. But black carbon, before I even go into that, let me just give you a little background on me. So you won't just think, well, who is this guy talking about black carbon? Well, I'm the chairman of HNO International, chairman founder of HNO Green Fuels. That's the company that have developed some of this technology. I have a couple of, one nonprofit and another coalition called the Black Carbon Coalition. In fact, if you go to Apple or Google Play, you can download my app for the Black Carbon Coalition. I also have the Coalition Against Black Carbon. Now, are you getting the sense that I kind of don't like black carbon? But General Motors Institute, have an engineering degree, have a law degree from Georgetown, and I developed this Leaf H2 technology, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And I wrote the book, Burn Fuel Better. Burn Fuel Better is from helpless to hopeful in the race against climate change. Because right now we all feel helpless. But this book is going to tell you a little bit about what we need to do and what black carbon is. Now, what is black carbon? Black carbon is unburned fuel. Anytime we burn any fossil fuel, the result of it, we can't burn 100% of it, so some of it is unburned. And that unburned fuel is what goes into the atmosphere. And I'm assuming everybody's heard of climate change. Well, we all know about CO2, but most of us don't know about black carbon. But black carbon is actually 1,500 times worse than CO2. Now, notice I didn't say 1 or 2 times worse. I said 1,500 times worse than CO2. And that's what we all have to remember. But it comes from everything. It comes from clean natural gas. It comes from diesel. It comes from coal. It comes from gasoline. But it's from everything that we do in terms of living on this planet. But this is black carbon. Now, believe it or not, those are glaciers that are supposed to be snow white. Have any of y'all seen these pictures like this? That's black carbon. And what happens is, what black carbon does is, instead of the snow, white snow, reflecting light and heat, it absorbs light and heat, and it melts, and it causes it to melt. Now, I'm going to sit here and tell you that melting glaciers is not one of the causes of climate change. It is the cause for climate change. So black carbon is causing our glaciers to melt. Now, it's not the only thing. But when you think about a glacier or any other location like that, what can it do other than melt? Because it's always going to absorb sunlight. But these are just some of the images, and what it does is it destroys habitats for different types of animal life. but it's very, very bad. But the effects are unbelievable. And what it does ultimately is that it causes the ocean currents to change. And when we have ocean currents that normally the warm water goes up to the north and it comes back down and it creates weather patterns. But these weather patterns are changing now, and you can see it. Everybody can see it. I mean, climate change, we talked about people 10 years ago, nobody would even believe you. But it's very, very obvious. In fact, some of the weather that we've been having is just unusual. And so that's all because of these changing water, these changing climate, these changing ocean patterns and climate, changing currents. But if we don't do anything, these are some of the things that will happen. I mean, in essence, has anybody seen that movie Waterworld? Yeah. Well, that's no joke, because that's what can happen if we melt all of our glaciers. And these are some of the locations where you're going to have extremely high sea level rise. You notice that Florida is underwater. And that's no joke. So black carbon is what? The enemy of the planet. Don't forget that. It is the enemy of the planet. Now, it's 1,500 times worse than CO2. It causes climate change and related disasters. These are the things that we now see almost every day. But what causes black carbon? Now, this is very, 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 very important. It's something called a fossil fuel energy infrastructure. It's not just transportation, and it's not the fossil fuel industry. So we all have a tendency, we want to blame the fossil fuel industry for everything. No. It's the infrastructure. But it's the infrastructure that we live in, that we need, that we use every day. It enables us to wear suits and ties and glasses. This doggone infrastructure is vast. It's how we live. It's how we live. It's responsible for everything we've achieved. Even though we're all about renewable energy, we couldn't have done any of these things with renewable energy. Even renewable energy requires the fossil fuel energy infrastructure. So it's very important for us to realize how vast this thing is. Now, I'm going to skip this slide, but I kind of want to talk about it. But this right here was taken from the James Webb telescope with a little grain, the size of a grain of sand at your length. And it took a picture into the universe, and it came up with all of these galaxies, not stars. These are galaxies, whole galaxies, and one little grain of sand point that it pointed to. Vast. When I say vast, I want you to think of vast. But the fossil fuel energy infrastructure is vast. It is more than transportation. It's more than just driving around. It's more than just flying. It's everything we do. It's our clothes, it's our glasses. It's our. If anybody ever go to a Walmart and see all those things on the shelves, or a Lowe's or a Home Depot and see all those things on the shelves, and what they all must be made of, and what they all have parts, trillions of parts. But none of these parts are made in the jungle. They're not made by a bunch of monkeys, and they come over and then bring it to the edge of the jungle, and everybody takes them off. No, it's done by the fossil fuel energy infrastructure. It's because we have power, we have lights. We can do these things. We can create all these things. But it's everything that we do. It is vast, and it's not going away anytime soon. And we have to understand, anybody wear glasses, ever flew on a plane, been on a cruise, used toothpaste. These ever got a package from the post office? And we all get packages. Boy, we throw away a lot of stuff every day, right? Oh, it's amazing. But this is part of the infrastructure. Even clean energy requires a fossil fuel energy infrastructure. We can't even build electric cars without it. In fact, California, I think a couple of weeks ago, had an energy crisis. They had on the news, please don't charge your electric cars. Now, that's extremely ironic. That is extremely ironic. But it's all because even that requires the fossil fuel energy infrastructure. So we live in it. And everything will never be electric. I will promise you that that doggone helicopter, it's unlikely that it's going to be electric anytime soon. It's unlikely that this engine that came out of a big old ship or whatever, it's unlikely. You see those pistons? Those are not going to be electric anytime soon. They're going to be always fossil fuel. So there are going to always be certain things that we're going to do with fossil fuels. And what's important, this little chart shows over the last few years, we have spent more money in renewables, which is good. We're spending more in wind and solar and everything else. And so over the last few years, we're making the efforts. Also, we're making the efforts with all countries making commitments and then companies making commitments to try to lower their carbon footprint. But in spite of all of this, last year the world produced more black carbon ever. And it's causing the glaciers to melt even more. So now, I'm going to give you a phrase that I want everybody to remember. And if you want to Google it yourself, you can. But it's called, or I should say this, any climate change solution that does not include black carbon is pissing in the wind. It is pissing in the wind because it's not going to do anything. And again, we can make as many electric cars as we want. We can make as many solar panels as we want, many windmills, but it's all going to be done because of fossil fuel. So we have to do something about fossil fuels. Not so much have to do something about it, we just got to make it burn better. That's what my name of my book is. We have to burn our fuel better. It's going to be here. We're not going to get rid of it. Hydrogen is one of the hopes. And again, there's a hydrogen for the future and there's a hydrogen from the present. But the technology that we developed helps combustion engines and combustion to burn its fuel without creating as much black carbon. So, but hydrogen, again, I'm going to skip through all of that. The book is all about burn fuel better and why we have to indeed figure out a way to burn fuel better. And the reason why this is so important is because human beings, we can do anything. But I accidentally discovered this about black carbon. I didn't know anything about black carbon. So I don't expect anybody out there to know anything about black carbon because I didn't know anything. It just so happened we developed this technology that reduced particulate matter, found out years later that particulate matter, which is unburned fuel, this major component is black carbon, and we reduce black carbon or particulate matter by 50% if you burn the fuel better. Now, 50% is not as good as 100%, but 50% is better than nothing. And that's the way we have to look at it. So we have to have a focus on black carbon. You know, in fact, I don't even think that the UN and all these guys, they don't even recognize black carbon as one of the greenhouse gases. I mean, you know, but until we do, we have to indeed figure out and deal with what black carbon does to our environment. But again, that's why I formed the Black Carbon Coalition, Coalition Against Black Carbon. All these organizations are all about developing technologies so that we can have and reduce black carbon and eliminate it from our planet. It's kind of like if the aliens attacked the Earth and the whole world got together, you know, because on those movies you always see the whole world gets together to beat the aliens. That's what we have to do. We have to treat black carbon like it is the enemy of the planet, because it is the enemy of the planet. And that's what we have to do. But we're human beings. There's nothing beyond our grasp. There is nothing. But until we know what to fight, we can't do anything about it. But there is nothing beyond our capabilities. I mean, you think about the fact that we sent that James Webb telescope 1 million miles to circle around the Earth and go over there slingshot off of a planet and this. Come on, we can do some incredible stuff. But we gotta beat black carbon right now. We have to know that it's the enemy of the planet. And until we have a focus for it, we're pissing in the wind with climate change, okay? So remember why we're doing all this. Remember why. Now, these are my daughters, and I'm sure you all have some kids, but we're doing it for their generation. It's bigger than you, it's bigger than me, but it's not bigger than us. So we have to get together and do this, and we can indeed beat black carbon. And this is my shameless plug at the end. There's a website Don Climate Owens. Now, my middle name is not Climate. It really is Don. It's another name. But Don Climate Owens, so you can go to that website. There's HNO Green Fuels. That's the company that I basically developed, that kind of developed this technology. Black Carbon Coalition. You can literally go on Google Play and Apple Pay or whatever, Apple Play, to download that app, and it'll tell you a lot about what we're doing. Coalition Against Black Carbon, and HNO International. HNO International is the company that will ultimately develop and try to take this technology so we can make thousands of applications so that we can reduce and eliminate black carbon. But that's basically it.
That's all I got.
Guys, let's give it up for Don Owens, HNO International. Thank you so much for tuning into the episode. My name is Dylan Welch. Appreciate it. As always, stay up to date with the latest information on green.org and dylanwelch.com. Dylan Welch Media is a full-service media and communications agency dedicated to promoting, marketing, and helping businesses in clean tech, renewable energy, and sustainability grow, get more clients, get more customers, get in front of their ideal clientele. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. If you're interested in joining the Green Summit, go to www.green-summit.org. Reserve your ticket today. There's very few spots left, so make sure you get on that ASAP. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.